Hello. Good morning. So, here's something interesting. I'm a bit weird. First of all, let me know if you can hear me. You should be able to hear me, and that the video isn't hitching. I think it's okay. There was some technical issues. Surprise, surprise, this morning. So if you listen to the podcast, wow, we're starting early at pixelsandpuppets.com or wherever you get your fine podcasts. You know that we've been on TikTok quite a bit lately as part of the phase 2 stuff. TikTok appears to have rolled their own version of OBS, and you have to use that, but you can stream live to TikTok. But it doesn't work with anything other than TikTok, of course, because TikTok. But the thing is, since OBS has a virtual webcam out, I could always just use that, like set this OBS up as the source for that, and then just stream two instances. One, the thing that portrait-oriented puppetry. That's the problem, right? I don't know how it handle. I don't know. We might play with that for next week. We'll see. It certainly would not be friendly for the multicam setup, right? Like everything. Oh, vertical video. Don't get me started. How is everybody doing today? We're gonna get weird today, which is a good thing. But first, we're gonna sit around and chat for a while I have my usual iced coffee. Totally nominal. I slept well. I seem like I'm a bit low key. I think I'm just relaxed, which is good. I'm not as hyper as I usually am. Yes, the new green Grover Oscar weird amalgam. Shall we? There aren't that many people here yet. We should save it. We'll save it for later. See if some more people show up. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's got the Grover style floppy fingers too, right? And what I do, I mean, basically, it's just an empty glove. There's no armature or anything inside it. But what I do is I pack some fiber fill into tight little balls, and I pack those down into just the fingertips, so there's a little bit of weight, so that way when you move it, right, the fingers naturally want to flop around, right? So it's pretty good. Hey Scarlett, how you doing? Yeah, we're streaming. I think you're out and about or something. Scarlett may or may not be joining us. But yeah, we're so today is going to be, it is floppy. Today is going to be very interesting. So today is going to be the kind of thing I normally wouldn't do on stream. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought I should do it on stream, because it is me figuring something out. Your Scarlet is getting attacked by seagulls. Yes, do tell. So I had a commission, past tense, had a commission that wanted a puppet that used a Bert style eyebrow rig. And I mean, I know in theory how that's done. I've just never done it myself. Now that commission ended up not working out. Their plans changed and a whole bunch of things changed. And so we may revisit it later, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm not doing that commission. But by the time that the news came down that that the commission wasn't going forward, I had already done so much like mental work on figuring out how am I actually going to build this, that I want, I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to do that rig anyway, and I'll just use it in my stuff because, why not, right? I'm going to have to buy hair dye, and later I'm going to my friend's house to make the bathtub purple. Nice. Well done. Good choice. So what I'm doing today is I've done some thought. I've done a lot of thought. I've literally lost sleep over this, thinking about this, because that's just the way I roll, right? It's like when I start thinking about how am I going to do a thing, I literally cannot do anything else. Like my mind just focuses on that, and that's all I'm thinking about, and I can't sleep because of it. So we're going to just I have some ideas about how I want to do this, but I have no real plan. I'm just going to be messing around and experimenting. So this is the phase. Exactly. Who needs sleep? Me. That's who needs sleep. I have so many things to do. Phase 2 is a lot. It's going okay though. It's just that I'm stretching myself very thin. But that's okay. I'm getting used to the momentum. I'm just trying to keep all the plates spinning, you know. Anyway. Usually what I do is stream, I know what I'm doing ahead of time. This time, I have some ideas, but this is the phase. This is all prototyping. So this is me just figuring it out on the fly, what I'm gonna do. With some theories and some ideas, but no experience. And so this is the point at which things can just go wrong, right? And things can fail. This is the point at which, like, this may and it's likely to not work. So FYI, this isn't me instructing, this is me figuring it out, right? But I think that's good and valuable for people to see, because, and it's like I've talked about this before, how, like, you know, when I watched the BJ Geyer courses, I had already sort of known on a technical level most of this stuff, but just watching BJ work and him working through things was the valuable part in that. And I think it's useful and valuable for people to see how the problem-solving process works, because that's all this stuff is. It's all just, here's a problem, how are you going to solve it, right? So that's what we're doing today. We are going to make we're going to attempt to making a Bert-style eyebrow rig. Now, what do we mean when we say that? Excuse me, just a little warm-up coffee here. So, with the kind of eyebrow rigs I've been doing so far, this is the point at which we can get the green monster, because this is my usual style of eyebrow rig. And you've seen me make this stuff on stream before. So this is, get it all seated here. Hello. That naturally wants to go to the sides. It's kind of interesting. But which is kind of good. You know why Oscar talks like that, right? The reason Oscar does this is because at one point the Oscar puppet broke, and like the hinge in the mouth plate broke, and Carol Spinney wouldn't let them fix it. And that's literally all that happened. That's why Oscar ended up going like this. So anyway, so I'm getting distracted because look, we've got a neat monster on screen. Look at it. Come on. This falls under the category of I don't want to sell it. Hello everybody. Monster. So anyway, yeah, I'm getting distracted by the puppet. What a surprise. So we've got a couple of jumbo ping pong balls here. These are 55 millimeter. And there is a wire bent around this. And you've all seen this stuff before. If you joined this before, you've seen me build this kind of rig before. But the thing about this is it's a pivot point, and then there's two kind of hooks, like two curved pieces of wire. And they all pivot around a central point that's going through the middle of the ping pong balls, right? So that's how that works. It's real simple. Not a lot of fun to make, but it is simple. But that's not how Bert's eyebrows work. Bert's eyebrows, get this set up so I don't go knocking stuff over. Bert's eyebrows, so as you know, Bert's got the unibrow, and what it really is it's two pieces, and they're flat against the head, and they kind of go like this, right? There's a hinge point in the middle, and the pivot, there's two pivots as opposed to one axis, right? So what's happening is they're doing this. So how do we do this and have a control mech on the inside, or a control arm on the inside? Mech sounds fancier than it really is. Have a control on the inside that will allow us to take two things on the outside and do this. They're like ping pong table paddles, right? They're like that. Now, there is some help in this regard, because obviously this is a problem that's already been solved. And there's an AdamSavageTested.com YouTube channel video. Magic, possibly. There's a little bit of pixie dust, you know. One of the videos on Adam Savage's Tested YouTube channel it's an older one, but it is him visiting Rick Lyons' studio. Rick Lyons is a famous high-level puppet builder, worked with the Muppets, that kind of thing. And they built a character for Adam. One of the things that he shows off in that video is just several of their pre-existing builds, and one of them is a Burt-style eyebrow rig. And he's just showing how simple a mech can be. And they actually, like, he's got the back open and they show the insides, they show what's going on there, and it looks at first blush very simple. It looks like there's just a bunch of wires that are linked together, and there's a ring in the middle, and the puppeteer just does this, and then, you know, the two halves of the eyebrow do that. And they're all just sort of like linked up wires at certain pivot points. So that seems simple. But when you actually start to analyze and go, well, how am I actually going to build that? And then how do we do it so that, like, when we put the skin on, how do we get that around the skin, and how do we mount it? It's a whole bunch of, as soon as you start, things seem simple, and then you start breaking them down and going, how do you actually get from point A to point B? That's where it gets complicated. So it isn't super clear what is actually going on with that rig. And it is simple, but it is also like figuring out how to make that isn't simple. And this is the story for all rigs in general. This is why mechs, nobody at my tier really makes rigs and mechs in their puppets, and this is why, because even the simple ones are complicated and time consuming to make. Koya, how you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome. We're doing eyebrows. So it's eyebrow month around here. I have another eyebrow build planned for the third thing in the month. But that's a long story. Anyway, so what we're gonna do is I have an idea for how the rig that I want to build is gonna work. I don't know if it's actually gonna work, but we're gonna try it. So here's my proposition. What I want to do is build it in basically two pieces. So I want to take two, this is going to be hard to demonstrate. I should have prepared ahead of time, but of course I didn't. Two U-shaped pieces, kind of like this, right? That are facing each other. And they're going to be mounted this way. And so the axis is going to go like that. And it's going to be, you know, this is the inside, this is the outside. And one of the nice things about this is going to be that you don't have to do it as a unibrow. You can actually do this as two separate brows, which is, you know, flexibility, right? But the problem there is, okay, so we have two U-shaped things. Now, how do we actually mount that? How do you put the skin on and not have to cut big holes in the skin and then have the holes rip open as it's getting used? We need to reinforce the pivot points. There's a whole bunch of weird things that we have to account for. And that's kind of what this is. We are going to like try, and I have some ideas, and we're just going to try putting something together. So you need a support system off the mouth plate. No, that's one of the nice things for the Burt-style rig is you do not need to support this off the mouth plate like you would for something like the hook style standard wire rig. In my case, I used to use inch thick foam, and that is enough to support it. But this you don't. I mean, you can use the one that Rick Lyons shows is just literally 1/2 inch foam, and there's no need for a support structure just because there's so little force that's going on that you should be good. And it's just where the force is placed is different from where it would be on a pivot, right? And like I said, basically what we're building is like ping pong paddles. It's that style of kind of thing. And so where the actual pivot points are, that's the concern, because what we want to do is be able to have the rod go through there, and as it gets worked, it has to hold still. Again, that's part of the, do you need to anchor this or not? It probably wouldn't be bad to anchor it off the mouth plate, but that is also tricky, and you have to get the measurements right, and there's a whole bunch of things around that, and time consuming as well. And this is the other thing. I'm trying to get to a point where I can build this quickly. As always, speed is vital for just the way that my business works, right? So that's the goal, to try and come up with a way of making a Bert style eyebrow rig quickly, efficiently, and yet solidly and simple to use. All that stuff. So it's basically everything. That's everything, all of the good, there's an old saying, do you want good, fast, or cheap? Pick two. This has to be all three. So, whether this is possible or not, I don't even know. That's what we're finding out with all of this. So let me get some coffee down me and we will go forward with all this. That's a lot of text, Goya. All right, 30, wow, 35, nice. That's a lot of work. I empathize with all that work. I gotta drink my coffee and we gotta get to it because I am under the clock. I want to try and get this build done by Friday, which is unlikely, but I will have to. No, it's all right. No problem. I'm happy people chat. That's fine. I just can't, particularly when I'm doing stuff like this, I can't always necessarily focus on chat. So if I'm unresponsive, forgive me, just because I do have to. That's one of the things about the build streams is I kind of have to be a little bit more brutal with not necessarily always focusing on chat, just because I got to get my work done. That's it. YouTube doesn't even show it at all, really. What? YouTube should be. The bots in relay mode. Kevin gets distracted. It's true. I have to learn not to get distracted. One of the things we will be working towards for the chat, I think for managing chat in the build streams, just to allow me to be able to get my work done, is if there are questions that are unrelated to the current thing that we're doing, that's fine. By all means, do it. But I want to maybe I can get Scarlett or JB or somebody out of the way. We hadn't even talked about this, so this is just off the fly. It only shows the first 200 characters. Oh, great. I did not know that. Oh, well. Sorry, everybody. If there are questions that are unrelated to the current thing that I'm building, that's fine. Please go ahead and ask. But we may put them in a queue. And I'm going to eventually, I keep saying this, but we will be shooting some FAQ videos that are going to be a whole new series on the channel. We can put them in there, or we can answer them on a future build stream. But just so I can keep things going and not get distracted as much. That's kind of important. So I'm trying to figure out a balance between being able to do this and also being able to get my work done. Right? So in that spirit, finish your coffee and get to work. All right, here we go. So, what's the plan? YouTube limitation is 200 characters. That's why Twitch is 500, I think. Okay, that makes sense. It's not good, but it makes sense. Let's go to the top cams. Let me show you what we got going so far. So, since the original build that this was going to be for isn't going to happen, at least not yet, I'm going to do this for one of my builds, and it's going to be an ogre. So this is an ogre skull. I figure the ogre is probably the best candidate for a Bert style eyebrow rig. So this is a good old ogre skull. You've seen this before, but I did not close the back up, of course, and I haven't put any grips in yet because I want to get this figured out where this is going to sit before I put the grips in. If you want to talk bad about people on YouTube, it keeps 200 characters onwards. Okay. Now we know. Mystery solved. Twitch is max 500. All right. Now we know. So this is going to be the practice skull. This I hope will end up working out. The other thing is if this whole thing goes sideways and the eyebrow rig itself doesn't work out, I'm still going to build an ogre for the build this week. I'm just not going to have the eyebrow rig. I'll just build a standard ogre. So this is what we're going to be working with. This is the skull we're going to be working with. And so the way that I'm going to do this now, This is good old copper-clad steel welding rod. You've seen all this before. If you've joined us before, this is my standard arm rod material, and most mechs that I build are built with this stuff. This is 3/32 inch, and it's just, you can get this, you know, at hardware stores, and I got it on Amazon. I got a huge, I can't even pull it out to show you, but I got a huge like bulk supply of it 2 years ago. It was like $100 or so. I'm not even sure how much it was. They're 32-inch long, and it was huge. It was like a lot. It was very heavy to pick up, and I'm not even through half of it yet. Like, it was well worth the $100 that I paid, believe me. Because I'm still using it. Like I said, I'm just about halfway through it. That was about 2 years ago, so good investment. And I've used lots of them. I use these all the time. So this is a really good material to build this kind of thing out of, because it is flexible enough that you can work with it, but it is also quite strong and will hold up. And the other thing that is new is shout out to our friend Tom Stewart at, still got this up, thecreatureworksstudio.com, a colleague, fellow puppet builder, long established puppet builder, who put up a video somewhat recently about this tool. This is super handy. So I have something similar to this, but it has to be bolted down to a work table, and I don't really have a surface that I can bolt it down to. But this is, now most of what this is just a wire stripper for electronics. But it also has a wire bending jig on it. And that, thank you, Scarlett, that is super handy, because I don't really have a spare piece I can demonstrate this with. If you can put a wire up in here and then close this, and it will bend the wire in a very, very tidy fashion. You still got the links. Yes, nice, well done. And that's going to come in real handy for this, and it will bend it specifically at a 90-degree angle, and we need a couple of 90-degree angles. So we're going to use this, and I'll demonstrate this. And if you want to go to the Creature Works Studio, go to their YouTube channel. Tom has a video up specifically about this, and he uses it specifically to make the little flags at the top of arm rods. But it's useful for a lot of things. So that's going to be fun. So we're going to build the majority of the rig is going to be built out of this copper-clad steel welding rod. This is just an old piece of mech that I was working on that we may adapt. We'll see. I'm not sure. But the first thing I need to do is get some measurements, because I have no idea how big to make this thing, and that's why I haven't cut and bent anything yet, because we got to start from scratch. So I think what I might do, I wouldn't normally do this, but in a prototype, I think it's okay. And in the end, you probably won't end up seeing this. I wouldn't normally make marks on the outside of a puppet that's going to have fleece over it, because the fleece can be a bit sheer, and you can sometimes see like the marker lines through it. That's why I always make sure that, you know, the marker lines that are on the cuts are on the inside, right? That's why the outside doesn't have any. Legit, why would a fish be on a package for airline tubing? Yeah, no, it's aquarium tubing. Yep. Yeah, and we also have some polyurethane tubing. We got some tubing. We'll talk about the tubing in a minute. There's lots of tubing. So much, all of the tubing. So the first thing I want to do, but as I was saying, I don't want to really mark up the outside too much, but in this case, it'll probably be fine, because this is where the eyebrows are going to go anyway. And I just want to be able to get like an accurate measurement and kind of get a placement of where they should be. So I'm just going to draw a line on the outside here about where I want the eyebrows to work. Captain Stubing, nice. And we'll see. Now the other thing is, since I haven't closed up the back, the shape of this head is going to change a little bit once it's closed, and I gotta kind of keep that in mind. It's going to be a little, not going to be quite as pointy as this. It's going to be a bit flatter, right? So gotta keep that in mind. But it doesn't want to stay. It wants to roll over like a weeble. It wants to go like that. Hello, Puppet Chaos. Nice to see you. So the first thing I want to do is just grab a Sharpie here and just draw about where I want the eyebrows to be. Yes, we are doing another mech. We are doing a Burt-style eyebrow mech, and since I have never done one before and don't have explicit instructions on how to actually do one, I'm making it up. That's what we're doing. Figuring it out and probably making mistakes, and it may not work, and it probably won't work, or at least won't work for long. So we'll see. We're totally off script and off the hook. So the very first thing I want to do is get some measurements. So we're just going to do a little drawing here about where I think, and this is going to be in the neutral position. So the plan is that this mech is going to be able to do this. So go, up in a V and also go down V. So it's good. So our neutral position is going to be a straight line, right? So that's where I want to sort of start the measurement, is at the neutral point. We're going to the neutral zone. So, just kind of, I don't want it too high up. This will almost certainly have a nose. And we want to make sure it's relatively even and flat. You know what? Let's actually get a ruler and make sure that we're at a 90-degree angle here. How about that? Wow. That's a wild concept, and I don't know if it'll catch on. But... it's the problem with soft materials, right? It's like, oh, is that right or not? All right, I think if we're going to do this, we should do it pretty broad, It is a risky build, you're right. Well, this is an experiment. I've cut all the pieces for another skull if I have to make another one. If this one just gets ruined, then that's okay. That's part of the game, kids. All right, so let's say we're going to do it about here. This is going to be about where our rig is going to sit in the neutral position. Which means it'll probably, if I do put a nose in here, obviously it's not going to want to go down. We will be able to go up, but not down. So that's okay. We'll work with that. So let's see what we got in terms of measurement. So let me grab, where's my actual tape measure? We need something flexible here. We're on a curved surface. So let's see. From the center point, 2.5. Okay. I should actually write this down. Let's write down the measurements. Let's go wacky. I'm actually going to take a note on my phone. And this is after the list of ideas for TikTok videos. What did we say? We said 2.5. 3.5 inches. And this is inch or half-inch thick. So we want our sort of cross point to be a half-inch. And I don't think we want it to be more than a half-inch, because the way the bending works is we also have to accommodate, 2.5 from the center, right? Which is the length of each piece. We're actually gonna do the outer pieces a bit shorter. Actually, we're gonna do them both a bit shorter because we're gonna link them inside, and we'll talk about that in a minute. There's two tricky points. The two tricky points are the pivot points, and then the linking inside of where the puppeteer is gonna actually control it. But I got a couple of ideas. So it's 2.5 by 1/2. And that's the full size. So we're going to want to change that for the actual build to be a little bit shorter. So maybe we'll go 2. We'll want to keep the 1/2 inch at full width, but we only want 2 inches. We only want 2 inches for the initial piece. So let's try what we can do here. Yeah, there's a number of theories about how Bert's mech really works. Rick Lyons has a video. I talked about this earlier. Rick Lyons has a video on Adam Savage Tested that shows his version of a Bert style mech. It's not super, it looks simple, but it's not super clear in the end point exactly what's going on. I have a theory, and that's what we're exploring, a kind of simplified way of doing it. But we'll get there. So we want to do 2 inches. So there's 2 inches. Then we want to go a 1/2 inch, and maybe we'll go a little bit more than a 1/2 inch, and then another 2 inches, and that's where we want to cut it. And then we'll mark, actually I'll mark the other one after we cut this. Now, cutting, it's copper clad steel welding rod. Can be dangerous because you're cutting and little bits of metal could fly off. So I am going to put on some safety glasses. Safety first, kids. Hey, look at this, I'm double glassing it. I'm like this Gexis scientist. This is just bolt cutter. And so this is where we're going to cut right there. And go slow. There we go. Now, the other thing about when you cut this is these ends can be very, very sharp. Yes, always be careful when cutting metal. Because you've basically pinched the metal, you've basically created 2 little tiny razor blades on either end. So be aware of that. I might actually pop a little bit of plastic tubing on the end just to, I've cut myself so many times working with this stuff. So just be aware that that's the thing. And so we want to go 2. And then a little bit more than a 1/2. And then 2. We cut there. Oh, see, that's what can happen, and then metal goes flying. Little bolt thing in the middle of the bolt cutters came out. Not essentials. Over there. Okay, here we go. We've got our 2 pieces now. We're folding it over here. Okay, so we've got our 2 pieces that we're going to make into the U shapes. I won't Fisher Price them quite yet. I won't put the things on the ends quite yet. I may not. Maybe I should. I know I'm gonna cut myself. We don't need that on stream. Always go skek deck with your safety glasses, exactly. Don't worry about it. So here's how the bending jig in this thing works. So you put your wire in at the point at which you want to bend it. It's about there. And then you give it a good old haul. And look at that. Look at how tidy that is. That is sweet. Look at that perfect angle. I didn't quite do it all the way. Let's do it all the way. I think this goes a little bit more than 90. So I don't want to go further than 90. In fact, we probably want a little bit less than 90. But look at how nice that is. Hey. You can get wire bending jigs that are very much like this with the pegs, and then you just pull on the wire. But they all have to be like bolted down to a desk, obviously, because you're putting a lot of force on here. This is nice because you can just like do it on the fly. There's our other bend point, and then boom. Hey, look at that. Now I didn't close it all the way. I didn't go quite 90 degrees. I want to leave it a bit open, and that's on purpose. No one wants the ocular castigation by bits of wire, no. But after I get the other one bent here, I'll demonstrate my vision for how this should work. I think it's gonna work. I hope it's. It would be nice if this worked. That. And you can see how when you're making the little flags on the end of arm rods, how this comes in super handy. And there we go. Look at how nice that is. Thank you, Tom, for pointing out this tool and providing a link to the Amazon page for it. I don't even think it's an affiliate link. I think it's just a link. So anyway, here's my vision for how this is going to work. This will probably be a bit clearer now. So we've got these 2 bits of U-shaped wires, and this is going to be mounted sort of like, you know, you're facing the front and it's just going to pivot like this, right? So what we want to do is this 1/2-inch point, this is our pivot point. It's going to go like that. This is this is going to be on the inside, this is going to be on the outside, and we need to link it on the inside, but not on the outside. And the way we're going to link it, well, there's several options for how we can link it. So what we need to do now is make some holes, right? One of the things I want to figure out with this is, what is the order of operations of putting the skin on? Because this is all well and fine to, like, we could just you know, make a hole here, reinforce it, drop these in, link them up on the inside, and it will work. But then when we go to put the skin on, what happens? How do we get the skin around this that will enable us to, like, not have to cut big holes in it or poke it randomly and then have it wide open and have to stitch it closed again? How do we mount this cleanly? And what I want to do, which I won't be able to do quite yet, but we'll sort that out later, is be able to make them like this, because this is nice, the fact that these are single pieces, right? These aren't like a whole bunch of things linked together like the Rick Lyons version. Move through the 4th dimension, yeah. What I want to be able to do is put the skin on, but not close up the back, just like this, well, with both the fleece and the foam, and then make the holes, probably with the hot wire to cauterize them, and make a nice clean hole. Hello. Then reinforce it with some tubing and a washer on the back. That should provide enough structure in there that we don't need to reinforce it any other way, and it won't tear at the foam. And then put these in, link them up in the back, and it's all good. It'll be nice and clean, and there won't be any cut lines, and there won't be any, you know, weirdness. Right now, we're just figuring out the linkage on the inside. The putting the skin on is the next step. I don't actually have a full skin ready yet, so we won't be doing that on stream. But the next thing we need to do is make some holes. So we know that since this is our pivot point, let's make sure that this is actually, this goes in. Yeah, that'll be okay. Now it's okay, like, we want a gap between these, right? When this goes in, we want the gap, and we don't necessarily want a huge gap, but if it is a huge gap, that's also okay too. If we're gonna do a unibrow, then we just put fabric that's bridging, you know, and it'll be fine. I don't know, we'll see. Again, part of the unknown is, how is this gonna sit when it's on a curved surface? I have no idea. So the way that I'm going to do this is my usual way of just heating up a rod and then poking a couple of holes with a hot rod to make holes that are nice and clean and cauterized. And then we're going to reinforce the holes, and that's going to be a whole other thing. Into the unknown, yes. But this, I think, is at least part way towards a really good and usable, very simple Bert style rig, right? To just be able to do this. I think this is going to be careful using fire. Yeah, we're doing all kinds of dangerous stuff. This is the danger zone, kids. Welcome to the danger zone. So let's put the tubing aside, because the tubing is going to come in when we go to reinforce and link. But right now we got to poke a couple of holes, and we do that, as always, with, let me grab our vice grips. Some vice grips. Hot rodding, yeah. Oh, I always went to reach for coffee and it's all gone. Oh no. Oh well. There's some ice melted and some extremely diluted iced coffee water, which does not sound appealing. All right. Door is closed. The window is open. The fan is on, so we will be venting this. Always use your own judgment when playing with fire, or use somebody else's judgment who has better judgment than you. So I always, you can tell this is a well-used piece. This is just a piece of the copper-clad steel welding rod that I always use for making my cauterized holes. And this is a culinary butane torch. This is the kind of thing that you would make creme brulee with. But yes, be very careful with fire. Don't aim this at anything that you don't want to catch on fire. I have the safety on. See, I have the safety on. Here we go. So you want to heat up the end of this rod until it glows red. Is it on camera? Kind of. I did fill this up with butane recently, so you can kind of see that on camera. There we go. It's glowing red. Be very careful. Very, very hot. Poke a hole in the end here. Lots of smoke. It smells great. Poke a hole here. There we go. This is very hot. I'm going to put this in front of the window, in front of the fan, so the fan can vent it out and let it cool before I do anything else with it. We close the torch. We make sure the safety is on the torch so you can't accidentally turn it on again. Safety, kids, always. So now we have a couple of nice, clean, cauterized holes. So the first thing we can do is do kind of a test fitting to see if this is gonna even work. Like even the theory works. So that's gonna go like that. Okay. So the first thing I'm seeing is that because of the curved surface, and this is the kind of thing you don't really know until you try. It's much closer on the inside than it is on the outside, right? So when we put these two together, put this one in here. Now the good news is I think I'm going to be able to mount this just like this from the get-go. But you can see how that's going to work. Now the problem is on the inside, because of the curved surface, this is actually hitting the interior of it. We don't want that. We also need the wires on the inside to be considerably shorter than the wires on the outside. Conveniently, the hole is the size of the rod. Yep. I mean, it's almost like I planned it that way. Yeah, it's just an accident. So, okay, we need to do a couple of things. We need to cut the wire on the inside so that it will fit better. And we also need to open it up a little bit more so it's not at a so much of a steep angle. We need to kind of make it more of a wide V. And hopefully that will solve the issue. I'm not sure that we could do that with the bending jig. We might just have to do that with some pliers. I may even need to get the vise out for this, but we'll see. We just want to open this up a little bit more. Right, we just want to make sure to make it less of a harsh angle. Again, this is how I experiment. This is This is what you don't see on camera normally. So I come up with pretty much everything. I try something and see if it works. And if it does work, great. And if it doesn't, why not? And the other thing we need to do is cut these so that whatever's going on the inside is shorter. So once again, safety glasses, particularly because this is going to be a small piece and we don't want that flying around. No ocular castigation, as Jamie rightly says. It's a Dark Crystal reference. Okay, I'm not going to measure this. I'm just going to cut, I don't know, about half an inch off the inside. Go slow. There we go. That's one. This is a tiny, sharp piece of metal. Don't let this go anywhere. Put this in your sharps container immediately. Don't throw this in the garbage. Don't lose it. That goes in the sharps container immediately. Backbone in it and go slow. Boom. Okay. So. Now we want to make sure that we put the short ends on the inside. See how that's going to sit. That seems to be a bit better. We got much more range of motion there. He hummed Mingli. So let's see how's that sitting on the inside. Now, the way I have it planned to link it on the inside, it will actually kind of pull them together. So the angle of these are going to be kind of standing proud of the head a little bit, but that should be fine. That'll look fine in the fit. Remember, we're putting a big lump of fur on the surface of these, so that will kind of fill in the gaps. That's not bad. That's actually not. That's much better than I anticipated. Let's see if we can make this work. So the other thing I want to do is reinforce these holes a little bit, because over time as this mech works, this is a little too loose and the hole is gonna work itself bigger, right? We don't want that. There's two ways I want to do that. The first, this is where the aquarium tubing comes in. This aquarium tubing, and I'm not sure what the interior diameter of this is. It doesn't say. This is standard aquarium tubing though. You can get this in most like pet shops and stuff. But this is bigger than the gauge of the wire. So the wire will fit in this quite easily and go in and out, and so it'll be able to pivot. So I want to... okay. Let's see. Recap for Jamie. So I changed the angle of the... I don't even know what we're gonna call these, of the eyebrow pieces, and I cut the interior shorter because of the curved surface, they were too close on the inside, and they seem to be okay. This might work. So when you put these in, I'll just do one for the moment, but you can see when this is linked on the inside, right? Again, it's very simple, but actually getting here, this is a whole journey you have to go on, right? But this is how it's working, and of course on the inside, right? That's what we got. So will the tube? Yes, the tube will hopefully link up the two bits on the inside. Now for this initial thing, I think I might just take some tape and link them up, just to see how it's going to move. But what I'm going to do with the tubing is reinforce these holes with a bit of tubing. So the kind of the weight or the majority of the force is against the tubing and not just the raw foam. I'm gonna make little sockets basically for the wire. And the other thing I want to do is on the inside, this is something I did get from the Rick Lyons video. I noticed that at the entry points on the inside here, he had like washers, like actually they were doll joints, wooden doll joints with like cotter pin style doll joints on the inside, and that kind of provided a reinforcement point. So I'm going to do that as well. I don't have any, I do have some cotter pin style doll joints, but they're too big. But I do have some plastic ones that are, I think these are about 20 or 25 millimeter. And these should be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the kind of washer part of the doll joint, like that, and put the aquarium tubing through that, and then glue that on the inside and make a little kind of reinforced socket for the wire. I think this might work. This would be cool if this worked. I'm sure there's unforeseen stuff coming down the road. Don't worry, failure is still an option. What do I want to do? So one thing I do know that I am going to have to do is widen this hole a little bit. This is a little too narrow for the aquarium tube to go through. So I'm just going to try. I'm going to try doing that first with an X-Acto knife. Again, be very, very careful when you're doing stuff like this. I've done this tons, so I'm kind of used to the dynamics of it. But I'm just putting a X-Acto knife in and kind of spinning it around, carving out some of the plastic on the interior there. We'll see if that's big enough. Yep, that'll go through now. Right? That's what we want to do. Now I'm going to use hot glue for a lot of this. As always, it's better to use contact cement almost every time. I'm using hot glue because we're prototyping. The hot glue will be fine, but it is always, when you have the option, use contact cement and not hot glue. How's that? That's good. Okay, excellent. That worked better than I expected. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces of, I'm going to cut these bigger than I need. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a little kind of reinforced platform here. I do want to glue these in. What's contact cement? Never heard of it. You know, danger, honey. And then I'm gonna poke this through the hole like that. I don't know how clear that is, but we're coming out and we're gonna trim this off so it's flush, but just to get it seated, right? And then we're gonna glue it on the inside. So there's a little danger of the honey variety. Exactly. Well, there we go. Danger honey. This is a little teeny tiny. This is a pint of danger honey. It literally is a pint of danger honey. So there we go. And is that? Can you kind of see that on stream? I also have the close-up cam. Maybe we can try this. So you see what I've got. Let me take this out. So I've got the doll joint, and I put a piece of tubing through it. I'm gonna glue this in a moment. But we've got the holes on the inside, and all I'm doing is I'm from the inside, I'm poking the tubing out. It's white on white, so it's a little tough to see. Good. You can see what's going on there. And I'm going to glue this in, and then we're going to trim off the tubing, and this will just provide a little reinforced socket for the tube to go in, and that way the foam itself won't be taking the brunt of the force, right? Nightmare pup with tiny tube eyes. Yeah, there we go. All right, we'll think about that. So the first thing I want to do is just glue. Get some hot glue. and glue the tubes to the washers on the inside. So you can kind of see. Sorry, I forgot what camera I was on. You can kind of see that these washers are beveled. See how there's kind of a bevel to the edges. So you want the larger surface area, which is the wide point of the bevel. This is the surface that we're going to glue to the interior of the head. So I'm going to glue the actual hose, the tubing, on this side. So we don't have a big lump of glue on that side to glue it onto the foam. I'm just buying a little insurance, that's all. So we're gonna get the hot glue. We're just gonna put a little bit on. We're not gonna go nuts with it. And again, this is just to hold it steady, to make sure it's not gonna move around, it's not gonna come out. And the thing about the hot glue with the plastic tubing is this will actually kind of melt the tubing a little bit, and that's good because then when it sets, it'll set really solid. And that's a good thing. So again, this isn't going to look pretty, but I bet you can see that in the. And again, be real careful with the hot glue, particularly when you're working this close to your fingers. But you see, I just got a little glue on the outside there. Let's roll that around a bit, get it all nice and worked in. And then we gotta wait for the glue to set. And you know what I can do while I'm waiting for the glue to set? Get some coffee. Be right back. Gonna get some coffee. I love the fact that this girl is just advertising while I'm away. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I got my coffee. Ice on the teeth. Yes, do join the Discord and listen to the podcast, Pixels and Puppets. Recording a new episode this Friday. Yeah. Yes, that would be good, Scarlett. I'm so slow with that kind of stuff. I actually posted on Mastodon this time. I remembered. See if anybody comes in from Mastodon. Yeah, I like the link tree just because it's one place that I can point everybody to. Now the problem with the link tree is people have to follow the breadcrumbs, and let me tell you, people do not follow the breadcrumbs. You need to have one link that goes directly where they want to go, or they won't go. That's what I have learned. It has to be as direct as possible. No, I don't think it's Sweet with Danger Honey. Definitely not. Let's have a look at where we're at. Close-up cam seems to be working well for this. So you can see my really messy toolbox. Look at that. I can't even tell you. There's strata here. Okay, this is like the stuff I use is on the top, and there's stuff on the bottom that hasn't seen the light of day since the Pleistocene era. Okay, so how is that? So that seems pretty solid. That's not coming out. That's yeah. Minimize the clicks. There's an old saying in I guess it's the internet thing. It's like always make it easy for people to give you money. Always make it easy for people to find your find your clicks. Minimize clicks. So this seems good. This is real solid. That ain't going anywhere. Now let's make sure that with the hot glue it didn't actually like melt this closed or anything. We can still get a rod through it. Here we go. Sorry if I'm not used to this camera, so I'm not quite sure where center is. That's that, and this one too. Boom. Okay, this is ready to mount. I'm sorry for all of the terrible innuendo. So the first thing I want to do, since we're going this way, I want to trim off as much as I can on the surface here. This is also my junk shears, by the way. This is those shears that get used for all the crap that I don't want to. I don't care about these. These aren't the good fabric shears or anything. But we're just trimming this down as much as we dare. This is going to be on the inside. And then we're going to put some glue around here, and then we're going to poke this through and glue them on the inside here. I think we'll go to the top cam for this. This may be a mistake, but we'll see. People don't follow the breadcrumbs because they all know the story of Hansel and Gretel. Hansel? That has to be possibly my single favorite moment in any of the Looney Tunes cartoons. It's just this, there's a recurring gag. I can't even remember what the one is called. It's the one they make fun of Hansel and Gretel. One of the ones with the witch and Bugs Bunny. And there's a running gag in it that when anybody hears the name Hansel, they just go, Hansel? Hansel? Hansel, and they wander away. Hansel. It just makes no sense, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's the best. I absolutely love that gag. And my other favorite one is the beginning of a Yosemite Sam one where he's the captain of a ship, and at the beginning of it, you just see the ship in the distance and the dock, and then you hear like gunfire or something, and somebody screams, and this disheveled skeletal person who's obviously been like abused comes into frame and looks at the camera and goes, I was a human being once, and then runs off. It is terrifying. It's disturbing. You would never expect that to be in a Looney Tunes cartoon, and yet it is, and it's just mwah. Hey, there we go. There's the TikTok link. I posted a TikTok from the old account this morning, and I forgot we had almost 1,000 followers on TikTok before. I never should have left. That was a mistake. Now we're rebuilding from scratch, of course. Anyway, let's not go into the regrets. Let's keep making the puppets. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put some hot glue. We've got to work faster because it's hot glue. Thank you, Scarlett. There's the most important link of all. If you want to support everything we do here at Operation Puppet, you can always give us a donation on ko-fi.com/Operation Puppet. Almost like I practiced that. Every little bit helps. We will be talking about monetization at some point in the future. It will be coming, and hopefully will be a good thing for everybody. So we got to work fast. So let's work fast because it's hot glue. We also won't want to burn ourselves. That would be bad. So I'm going to put some hot glue on the interior surface. And make sure this is good and solid. So I'm going to be somewhat generous with this, and then we're going to poke this through. Come on, baby. It's not cooperating. There we go. There we go. We got it. And then I'm just gonna hold this in place. I know you can't really see it. Talking about it on the podcast, maybe? Yay. Look at Scarlett go. Scarlett's working for Gus, not me. Oh, your Mastodon also exists. Yeah, it sure does. I like it. Unlike some other social media platforms that we could talk about. I'm looking at you, Threads. Threads is a garbage fire. I'm sorry. And we'll just do the same thing on the other side. I always burn myself with hot glue. Or glue myself to something which is burning myself with a hot... Yeah, exactly. Gus pays. I'll bet Gus pays. Well, yeah, but we know how Gus pays, don't we? With money that isn't worth anything. And exposure. All right, there we go. So the other thing that I can anticipate here is we may actually want to reinforce it on the exterior surface as well. Hot glue was an experimented one of napalm, but stickier. Yep. There we go, Gascoigne. So once again, we want to wait for that glue to set up before we do anything else. I think this might be enough. I might, you know what, I might just put some hot glue around the outside of this rather than reinforce it with another washer. We don't want to add too much length here because then I'm afraid the wire isn't going to get through. But this is one of those things that we'll just see when we get there, you know. So far, I'm liking where this is going. This seems to be promising. This is at least the beginning of something that will eventually work. Whether this particular iteration works or not, I'm not sure. But something's going to happen here. I don't know what, but it might be good. It might also be terrible. Now, do I want to put some glue on the outside? I do want to put some glue on the outside. We might as well do that now, just to reinforce it. And this will also melt the foam a little bit and provide, again, some more stability. This is actually kind of a good use for hot glue, which is rare. Sometimes you can make the heat part of hot glue work in your favor. So I've just put a little glue around the outside of that just to kind of give some reinforcement, because basically hot glue is just melted plastic. It's a low temperature plastic and you melt it and then the plastic's set. So it turns from a liquid to a solid. So it's not really glue. There's no adhesion happening. That's why it works really well on porous surfaces, but on non-porous surfaces it's complete garbage because it just pulls right off. But when you use it on a surface that is susceptible to heat, like foam, for example, you can actually make that quite strong because it will melt the surface a little bit and then set really hard. So that's a good thing. So we want to let that sit and set up really solid. So I wonder where hot glue originates from. Somebody who's going to Wikipedia that, I'm sure. Multiplasty, yes. Hot napalm in a gun. Yep. That's a bit of a summary, wouldn't you say? Oh boy, this is going surprisingly smoothly. I didn't really expect this to be as good as this. Still lots of room for complete failure, but you know, we're just over an hour in. So far, so good. It will be great if this works, because let me tell you. Oh, here we go. JB with the facts. Hot melt adhesive, also known as hot glue, is a form of thermoplastic adhesive that is commonly sold. I'm doing this with the voice. Commonly sold as a solid cylindrical sticks of various diameters used to be applied through a hot glue gun. Did you ask ChatGPT? That sounds very ChatGPT. Jamie's the AI. We knew it all along. We thought it was Scarlet, but no. No, that's Wikipedia. So yes, it is ChatGPT. It's WikiGPT. Yeah, it's as accurate as anything on Wikipedia ever is, right? It may have been invented around 1940 with Procter & Gamble. Why is Procter & Gamble pinging in my brain as either something very good or something very bad? I can't remember. All right, let's have a look at this. the whole situation here. Okay, that's set up pretty good. Seems pretty solid. This seems to be pulling away a little bit. I don't think this set on the interior surface here very well. I wanna put some more glue on there. That's just lifting right off. There's no adhesion happening there at all. I gotta do this. I gotta put some glue in, and then I gotta sit there and squeeze it so it will melt a little bit. And I'm gonna have to do this for each one. I didn't hold it in place. This is what you have to do with hot glue sometimes, is just kind of hold it and wait for it to cool. Ah, look at all the facts we got in the chat. I love facts. Yeah, well, contact cement, at least, you know, the kind of barge is, which I can't remember the chemical. I mean, it's used for shoe manufacturing. Which reminds me, Margaret, my wife, has a sandal I need to fix. The sole came apart, and she was like, "Oh, I love these." I was like, "Oh, if only you knew somebody who had some kind of adhesive that would work on shoes." Oh yeah, it's not just for puppets. Okay, that seems better. Yeah, we definitely don't want this to lift off. We want this to be nice and solid. So again, why you should use contact cement here and not hot glue. Contact cement wouldn't do this. You just need to hold it while we wait. Hot glue only seems like it's faster. I'm not sure it actually is faster. We should time stuff sometime. We should have a race. Me and Tom Stewart should get together. One of us use hot glue, one of us uses contact cement, and see which one finishes first. That'll bring in the views. You know, the combo of Danger Honey and hot glue, yes. All right, let's go with that. So this side seems okay. This side, we got the tube is a little bit longer than I want to trim that off. So we're just going to do that. We want this to get this as flush as we can. It doesn't have to sit perfectly, but it should be pretty good. All right, let's go with that as the prototype. I might want to look at better reinforcement for the future, but we'll see. So now, can we get these in the socket is the next question. We have to move some things around. Not seeming terribly easy. Come on, get in there. This is what I was afraid of. Oh, okay. Now getting around the corner, that's gonna be fun. Whoa. That's tricky. This is the part where it goes wrong. Oh, okay, I think I got it. Yeah, I should trim it off more on the inside. But, okay, all right. It still wants to rub against the inside, which is not great. We got something. Yeah, antenna, there we go. We got something, but it's not quite working the way I'd like it to. Now, it might fix itself once we link these together. So I guess we'll just put the other one in there and see what happens. It doesn't feel quite there yet. See, this is the part I wanted to do. This as a single piece because it's so nice to be able to just pop these in, right? And that way we can just mount them and link them up, and we're done. However, this is the downfall, or this is the downside of that. It's like getting them in is. This one doesn't look like it wants to go at all. There's just too much stuff on the inside here, and it's tearing as we push it in. That's not good. The other way to do this that I can think of. Okay, there's a couple things. One, we can make the axial point, we can make this a bit longer, right? And that'll give us a little more room to play with. We won't be having to go around such a sharp corner. I really want this to work. I feel like we're almost there. We're almost got it. Now I gotta think. I can't think and talk at the same time. Can we go from the outside, maybe? Or the inside? Yeah, see, the problem is having to go around that 90-degree angle. Okay, actually, that was a bit easier. Okay, go from the inside. That's the lesson there. So, okay. All right. So we got something going on here. They're not linked, so of course they're all flopping around individually, but... So now the linking part. That's where things get super weird. So I think what I'm going to do just for now is just grab some gaff tape and make a little tape linkage between them and just see how it moves, see how it feels, see how it looks, you know, all that stuff. I have no clue. Also finish my coffee. And of course, once I get this settled about how this is going to work, that's when we'll look at putting like a little ring in here for the puppeteer to actually get their finger in. We're not worried about that yet. We're just looking at like how they're going to link up. If they're going to link up even. This is going to be real quick and dirty, but you know, it'll hopefully get the job done. My monitor just went out. Oh, okay. It's back. I think the stream is still fine. I know you can't really see this, but I'll show you what I did in a sec. Okay, so just on the inside here, I just taped them together, right? Huh. All right. Okay. Okay, we've got something. This is promising. So they're a little misaligned. That's the first thing. They are kind of pulling the foam a little bit more than I would like them to. Now, once we get the fleece on there, that might solve it, right? Because the fleece is going to kind of tighten everything up and hold it all together. We may want to do this with the inch thick, but that's promising. This is very promising. We got something's going on here. Something good. I think what it is when we link them, we have to make sure that they are at the same level, right? The tape is a little floppy. It's allowing them to desync. And also, like this head, once this head is all together in one piece, it's an arty show. You know, we got something's going on there. That's not bad, right? So all I'm doing is just this, right? So, a couple of things. For the next iteration, oh yeah, that's the plan is to have these linked with the tube and then have a ring or something dangling from that with a jump ring or something that the puppeteer could just put their finger in. That is the final plan. This is just the prototype. So there's a couple of ways to improve on this. The first thing is definitely making the axis point where it crosses here, making that a bit longer, because that will help. That'll help with the desync problem, that'll help with the mounting problem, that'll help with everything, because we've got some extra bulk in here where the tubing for the socket goes. That's the first thing. So we want this thicker than the foam is. And it's okay if they stand a bit proud of the surface. The other thing is, for the final iteration, we're probably going to want to bend these wires so they're not straight, so they're kind of curved inward. And that'll be fine and not terribly difficult. Again, you won't need to worry too much about accuracy because, let me see if I've got some strip of fur here. Right, so the plan, of course, is to just cover this, you know, like that, right? So it'll just move like that. So you don't really have to worry too much about like what the shape is, or because the fur is just going to cover it all up. Yeah, okay. This is something. This is a thing that exists for sure. Better pivots. That's what we need, is better pivoting. Somebody make the Friends joke, and I only know that's Friends because I've seen the meme. It's good though. It's good. We got something. It's worked way better. This has been in my head for the better part of a week. And this is the first time I've actually made it in real life. So it's all right. We got something. Something good is happening here. We can refine this. It has to be slightly tweaked. We need to make the axis point pivot. There we go. The axis point has to, I think that's the big one. The axis point has to be wider. So not a half inch, go like almost a full inch, I think. Will get us there. But other than that, this is very promising. They can also be used for puppet snail eye stalks for sure. Well, that's the thing. Once you come up with a very simple rig like this, you can think of all kinds of like ways to use this, you know. Like we could mount this wider on the other side and put like a line and a spring in here and use this for like ears, right? Like there's all kinds of things you could do. The nice part about this is, like I said, this doesn't have to be a unibrow. You can make these as individual eyebrows, right? The hard part is going to be like aligning them and making sure they're symmetrical. That's where it falls down. That's where you might want to just do the unibrow because that's not going to matter if it's symmetrical. Or just measure more accurately than I do. Non-motorized Fozzie ear wiggle. It shakes the whole head though. That's the problem with that. Then again, so does the Fozzie mech, right? Yeah, no, we got something. It's getting these angles right. That's going to be the tricky part. That's the secret sauce for all this, is getting those angles right and getting getting the pivot wider will help with the action. The action needs to be smoother. It needs to pull on the foam a bit less, I think. Doing this with inch thick will also help with that. But yeah, this is still real promising. You could bend them the other way for sticky outy ears. Yes, exactly. Exactly. See? And this is the thing, like, so you see how simple this mech is and yet how much goes into it. Like, the engineering on these things is way weirder than you ever would guess, which is why nobody does it. But I'm trying to figure out a good way to do it and a simple way to do it so that I can do it because people want it, and ultimately that means people will buy my puppets. You're right. That's the whole thing that we're trying to get to here, keeping the lights on by making our puppets more desirable. So if we can do simple mech, that gives us a big leg up. Would reinforcing the inside of the skull around the eyes with more half-inch foam help? Probably. I think Indies Keep question originally about reinforcing it to the mouth plate, which is how a lot of these kind of rigs are, would also be a good thing to do. Like attaching, say this washer to the mouth plate with a dowel or something. That would certainly help. I think the inch thick is the way I'm gonna go, just because I know for a fact that works, because that's how I do the other eyebrow style rig. That's more than enough substance. So what I'll probably end up doing for the ogres is I'm going to make another iteration of the ogre skull where the top of the skull is inch thick and then the rest of it is half inch. Thank you, Scarlett. Yes, you can go to operationpuppet.com. All of the puppets that are currently for sale are up there, except for the green one back here that's going up on Friday. And hopefully an ogre. I'm still going to be using this skull. I'm going to take this rig off because this isn't quite where I want it to be. So this particular ogre won't have the eyebrow rig, but we're real close. We are very, very close to a workable rig here. So I'll work on this. This is where we're going to leave off this part. I also, since I am making this for real, I have part of the skin. So the next part, the last part of the stream is just going to be me hand sewing, because that's the next part that I have to do. But anyway, there we go. There's the beginning of a Bert style eyebrow rig. That's how I do my stuff. That's how I figure stuff out, is I just try it, I come up with an idea, I try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I figure out why it doesn't work and iterate on that. So the next iteration will be better. But better than I expected. I'm calling it a win-ish. It's at least a place if it's not a win. Okay, that was fun. I got these also for when you're building mechs. These are really useful. These are just little springs. It's like $20 for a box. All kinds of different kinds of springs. So if you're doing a spring return, these are fantastic, and you can use these all over the place. I got these just in case I decided I might need them, and I probably will put a spring in the final version. Spring returns are always nice because then the puppeteer doesn't have to do anything, right? It just goes back to the neutral position. So that's how for any style mech, if you want a spring return, you figure out what your neutral position is, mount the spring however it's going to hold it in the neutral position, and then let the puppeteer do whatever they want. And then when they release the mech, it'll just go back to the neutral position. That's how spring returns work. This is still, I like this a lot. This is very promising. Yeah. Okay, good. Better than I expected. But I still want to try and get this ogre finished for Friday, which is a bit of a tall order, but I have a build queue, and I have to try and follow that as closely as possible, so I gotta move on. I don't have a place for this stool. Let's see, can we go here? We can go there, okay. But I gotta cut some fabric here is the skin of this particular ogre. It's gonna be an interesting I like not having having to do anything. I don't know what that's like anymore. Because I'm doing everything, all of the things. I just happen to have some of this fleece. This is actually polar fleece. How long is the build queue currently? Let's see, not that long, but they're big. So I got this ogre. Next week, I don't even remember what I had planned to do. I think there might be a smaller two, possibly a Greebly. And then the last build of the month is going to be another Live Hands. Kind of this, but Live Hands. The green monster, but a Live Hands type. But that same head shape. I don't know what color yet. Probably red. But there's a lot. There's always a lot. Build queue is 100 climbing, yeah. This is going to be kind of a weird one for color, because I just happen to have some of this sort of peachy colored fleece. And I had a lot of it, so I'm like, oh, what have I got? Okay, I'll try this. This is just polar fleece. This isn't even like the, the expensive stuff. Which reminds me, I tried to place an order with Weird Kid, and the fleece is on back order, which is a little concerning. So they'll let me know when they've got it, but it's like, oh no, I can't get the good stuff right now. That's okay. As we know, you can make puppets with lots of stuff. But I was a little, because when I saw it, I was like, okay, I could make it, because ogres are kind of like humanish. So this is kind of a human skin tone, and I just want to, because I'm going to put this with brown fur as well. So it's going to be the closest thing to a human style, other than Jelly Roll, that I've ever done. But then I thought, like, oh, okay, is this going to look at all like some kind of ugly racial stereotype? I think in this color fleece, it's fine. I wouldn't ever go darker than this for an ogre, just because it's like, this is skirting up against some really, really ugly racial caricatures, right? And obviously I want to avoid that. Oh, you know what? So the other thing is I can close this up now, because I know I'm not doing the eyebrow rig with this particular one. I can finish this and close this up. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. But yeah. So I think it'll be okay. You can see on this camera is a little bit closer to the actual color. It is pretty Caucasian skin tone. And I think that's fine. Because, I mean, an ogre, ogres are fantasy creatures that are kind of humanish, right? But it is something I do think about, because, like, you don't ever want to accidentally stumble into something that is. The ogres in particular are a bit like that, because, the original inspiration for the design was Alice the Goon from Popeye. And there's really, like, when you look at the history of, like, Max Fleischer cartoons and that kind of stuff, and all the stuff that it came from, it's like there's some really, really bad, nasty racial stuff in there, because of the before times, right? So it's good and important to be aware of that. I saw a really good essay a while ago, actually, about specifically the Max Fleischer design school and how it related to Cuphead. Because Cuphead uses a lot of that design stuff. Excuse my torso, I'm just gonna get some thread. And sort of like be aware that the racist history in cartoon design is there, and is very disturbing when you actually start to look at it. But it's also important to acknowledge that stuff exists, because it did. We don't want to repeat the mistakes of the past, so we have to know what they were, right? Anyway, there's your political lecture for this puppet build. Okay, so I'm just gonna clip this together, and I'm doing my patented, not at all patented, reverse baseball stitch for this one. Actually, this is the back. I don't really need to worry about that. You woke, yes, thank you, Scarlett. But I'm going to anyway, because I've done the rest of it. And, like, the reverse baseball stitch does a really nice seam. I haven't done any seam blending on this, and it's like, you can still see it, but it's not super visible. Let me tell you, you start to really see how the sausage is made with in the 4K era. Let's look at Muppets Mayhem. I mean, you can see the seam down Janice's nose really, really prominently, which you never could before. Well, also Janice used to be all foam, and now they're all fleece. Anyway, there's my needle. There we go. Yeah, no, there's a lot. Yeah, a lot of the Looney Tunes stuff is, and it was just accepted, right? That's just what the humor was at the time. And it's never right. It was never good, but it just was accepted by the audience, right? Not, of course, by the people who were being victimized by it. And now the hand sewing portion is the viewer count plummets. We have not. We're doing them. We're watching them every Sunday. We got like Margaret and I, do the couples night on the couch kind of thing, and so that's we always pick like one thing that we're gonna watch together, and that's our one thing to watch together. So we just finished the one that where the documentary was. So no, we haven't finished yet. But we are quite enjoying it. Hand sewing alert, yep. Where is that? So anyway, how's everybody doing now that we've brought the mood down? Talking about racism that existed and still largely exists. This is why you don't wear rings and hand sew at the same time. Is the music playing? Let me know, because I don't actually hear it. I don't have the monitoring turned on. There should be some music of some kind that isn't triggering a YouTube notice. Music is going good. Oh, you know what? I can also close up the dart on this because this particular ogre won't have the eyebrow rakes, so I can just finish this entirely. This is some puppet building ASMR right here, I guess. Isn't that what ASMR? I don't even know what ASMR is really. You should probably do a TikTok with Frankie going, all right, look, this is some ASMR with Frankie. I'm gonna open some bag of chips. It's pretty good, actually. Oh, that all sounds terrible. Quiet chewing noises. Ugh. If I wanted that, I'd just go on the bus. No, it's loud chewing noises. Yeah, no, we don't have any loud oons music. We could probably find some, but music is illegal on the internet. See, I'm still thinking about the eyebrow rig. I'm working on that. I mean, that worked good enough. I know that one or two more iterations, and that will be where I want it to be, which is great, because that means we have a new style of mech that we can offer in the shop. And hopefully people will want that. Guess what will be exclusive to the Direct Shop? Trying to get out from under the iron boot of Etsy. Other things being legal will stop them, yeah. Yes, Indiescape. So I am doing some. Originally, I thought I would do some models would be exclusive to the Direct Shop, but I'm just doing it on an individual puppet basis. I look at a thing and go, all right, now this is. If you want this, you got to buy it on the Direct Shop. So right now, the only thing that's exclusive to the Direct Shop is the purple, shaggy purple monster. But I can't do that with a lot of things just because, I mean, I still need the Etsy search engine. I am exclusive in the Direct Shop, yeah. But the first build with the new eyebrow rig, once I perfect it, that will definitely be a Direct Shop exclusive. And I mean, just in general, if you want to buy a puppet from me, please buy it on the Direct Shop rather than Etsy. It's not even that much more money for me. It's just that I need to make, or I want to make, my website my default place rather than the Etsy store, as we talked about before. The new jelly roll, I should have the new iBack, so when Frankie says those New Orleans powered donuts instead of beignets, Jelly Roll can get properly angry. Jelly Roll doesn't have eyebrows. I mean, Jelly Roll doesn't have eyes, you know. Then again, they never stopped anybody from having eyebrows, is it? Should make his glasses move like Dr. Teeth. What is going on with Dr. Teeth anyway? What is that? I've always wanted to know. What are those eyelids? Are those glasses? I don't think it's ever been answered. It's just weird. It's semi-transparent, but they behave like eyelid. Like, I don't even know. Oh God, Floyd's eyes. I know they're not that complicated. That's, you know what? I'll bet you I can figure that out. Don't do this. I need to sleep. I'm gonna be thinking about the Floyd mech next. That was quite the tongue twister. Like Fletcher's Precious Flesh Threshers. Oof. Almost got through that. That's a joke for those who join us on the Frankie Play streams. So I know that Floyd's eyes are basically tubes. You know, the tubes get squished and then they spring back up. But what I don't know is how they spring back up. Like what holds them in place, you know? And then what squishes them. You know, like what's that? Yeah, collapsible tubes, yes, but what's it made out of? Like how is that? What are the mechanics of that? How does that work? That also does very much seem like a solvable problem. Much like the Burt mech. I'll bet you it's laughably simple. I've seen other people make them, that's the thing. The secret is out there. But unlike me, who just shows everything, people keep their secrets. I'm just here giving it all away. Become a puppeteer for the Muppets and find out, oh. Just like that, huh? Me and Matt Vogel hanging out. So Matt, how do the eyes work? Tubes of foam with microfilament attached to the top and running straight down, something like a ring pull inside the head. Yeah. Natural springiness of the foam. That's the part that I hold the card of doubt up to that. That wouldn't last long. I suspect that there's a ring of something like I don't know, like a rubber washer or something on the exterior that holds them in shape, right? So when you pull, and it's how is the linkage, right? So it's like you've got a ring. Let's say you've got a rubber ring that's attached to a tube, and that's what holds them in shape. Where's the microfilament, right? How is it attached? Where's the line running? You know, what's it reinforced against? Like again, it's a mech. So this is how these things can, you can think, oh, it's just this. But then when you actually start to try and like physically build it, it's like, oh, there's all kinds of little problems that crop up. It's like, oh, right, I think it goes to the top of the eye. So do you think there's a finger for each? Huh. You know what's funny? Because on the last Muppets Mayhem, I was sure I saw Floyd basically go like that, like do one eye, which I've never seen before. I've only ever seen him blink. Maybe the foam was laminated as thickish plastic. The plastic would help it reform. Yeah, if I was gonna do it, I would do like a ring, like a rubber ring, like a washer or something, or like a gasket, right? Just like a ring of rubber that will hold its shape, and that is kind of like, it's at the end of the tube. That's what holds it up, and also you can glue the fabric onto that. So that's what holds the shape. Holding the shape isn't the hard part, and having it spring back isn't the hard part. It's how is the closing working? Where is the monofilament attached, and where are the hinge points on that, right? There has to be a reason that Floyd wasn't irregular, yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't know if y'all remember, but season 1 of the Muppet Show, Floyd, his eyes, the reason his eyes looked like that was because they were originally supposed to be like Jelly Roll style sunglasses, right? He was based on John Lennon. So they were supposed to be little round sunglasses, and they were even glossy. And then they just changed it for season 2 so that they were just blinkable eyes, that's why Floyd's eyes are weird. And they actually to give a nod to that in Muppets Mayhem, where like they show a young Floyd and he's wearing the glasses. Maybe he's not a puppet, he's just a real guy. Yeah, they're all real. Let's not get into a whole who's real or not conversation. But yeah, that's a good good challenge. The Floyd eye. I like that as the next. After we perfect the Bert, we're gonna perfect the Floyd. Because the Manamana character, whose name I can never remember, also has the same mech. Oh, you know what I should do? We should figure it out. And that's the next Jelly Roll. Suddenly his sunglasses become eyes. It's a little tribute to what happened to Floyd, right? And the thing is, because it's us, because of my style of humor, we would actually address it. It was like, did you just blink? What was that? What are you talking about? Huh? Of course I blink. Everybody blinks. No, hang on. Are you feeling all right? I think I need to go lie down. New specs. Yeah, okay. I'm on board. I'm on board with the Floyd Eye agenda. Oh, don't plan on sleeping tonight, Kevin. Is some more people who joined recently. You missed the eyebrow back and you're here for the hand sewing. Congratulations. You'd be seeing Frankie had horns next. Yeah, no, that never happened. That was all a dream. Come on. Are we still doing that? It was all a dream. It's just not funny. Where are we at? 7 minutes of 7 more minutes of exciting hand sewing action. Yeah, like I said, my goal now, from this point on, from right now, is to finish this ogre by Friday. Considering it's Wednesday. Everyone knows trolls shed their horns at 4,001 years old. Canonically, Frankie's only like 400 and something. Don't go to the YouTube channel, watch season 1, you will find any horns. I forgot how, I did actually, there was a reason, I don't remember what the reason was, that I actually had to look at some of the older Oracle stuff recently, and I'd forgotten how heavy that puppet was. Woof. You can see it. You can see how heavy it is as I'm trying to manipulate it. It was very heavy. Thank you, Scarlett. Look at posting the links again. I'm only looking at the restream chat, so I don't see colors. So let me see what's coming up. Friday is the podcast. I'm gonna try and do my objective, and I guarantee this won't always happen, but my objective is to do at least one Frankie Play stream every weekend. Because I'm usually sitting around playing video games anyway. Thank you, Scarlett. There's the link in the chat. To the podcast, we're recording a new episode this Friday, so never a better time to catch up. Including, we get to find out if the trap we set for Andrew worked. We'll find out. Yeah, Scarlett saying the thing I never say. Remember to like and subscribe and click the bell, and other catchphrases you've heard 1,000 times before and never pay attention to. Also, Andrew's #2 game. Yes. We are at that point. We are getting close. to our top 5 games of all time being complete, then what do we do? Truthfully, I haven't decided yet. I have no idea. I have a thought. I think I know what we do. It'll be a few weeks before we're there yet, so don't worry. So as part of the phase 2 stuff, like I said before on the podcast, I'm just trying to do more stuff, just more everything. And that might include podcasts. The listenership is solid. I wouldn't say it's growing, but it is solid. Will my games continue to be in chronological order? Listen to the podcast in a few weeks to find out. Yes. You know what, Scarlett? That's not a bad idea. How's your internet? Because that's going to be a factor. Like, I would absolutely have you on as a guest, but having a conversation with really crappy internet and the recording quality and all that, there's a whole lot of factors, right? And there's just the delay. So, I don't know. We'll do some tests. We'll see. This is Minecraft 5 times. Yeah, cookie clicker. Yep. You know what? It's all valid. There's no invalid choice. It's your top 5 list. If that's your top 5, then that's your top 5. There's nobody can argue with it. That's what the top 5 list is about. It's about like the stuff we like. It's not about like trying to prove it to anybody, you know? It's a celebration of the stuff that has meant something to us. Early, I can use my friend's internet. All right, we will think about this because I think that will be, and obviously on the podcast, the first guest has to be Scarlett. I think it's just right. Angry Birds, Flappy Birds, nothing but only birds. It's the old bird list. Untitled Goose Game. There's a Muppet connection. They did the Muppets for Untitled Goose Game on one of the Keeleys. That cube stick man toy thingy. Look at that, we're at time. Well, we're at 1 minute to time. So as always, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for checking out the VOD. I suspect this may end up being a well-viewed VOD just because of the subject matter for most of it. This is gonna be a big drop off after the 1.5 hour mark. But yes, thank you everybody. As always, thank you to Scarlett, thank you to Jamie, the mod team. And the podcast coming up this weekend. Short videos on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts going up every day. There's more. All this stuff is happening on OperationPuppet.com. The link tree is right there. Mod Squad was right there. I know. Look, I'm tired. All right. I just expended a lot of mental juice. There we go. There was a Fisher Price toy that did a Floyd Pepper. I posted that, I think, in the description on the build channel in Discord. Thank you. I will be checking that out momentarily, but it's lunchtime, so I'm going to go have my lunch. Thank you, everybody. As always, we will iterate on the eyebrow mech, and we will get back to it. I will hopefully be showing off a final version of the Burt mech in the future stream. So. Thank you, everyone. As always, I'm going to hit the button to stop streaming because I'm hungry and it's lunchtime. Let's go to the end screen. See ya.